In 1901, Louis Round Wilson became the university librarian of UNC Chapel Hill and started to teach the first experimental course in library sciences. By the summer of 1915, as World War I was starting, Louis Round Wilson was teaching librarians across the state and promoting access to information for everyone. Working tirelessly to build a bigger library, he also sought to establish the first school for library science. Despite the dark days after the stock market crash, the school was formally dedicated in 1931, and Louis Round Wilson began training a new generation of librarians. Now, 75 years later, UNC's School of Information and Library Science, also known as SILS, stands at the center of a major research triangle where biotech and financial firms rely on the school's knowledge and leadership for a prosperous North Carolina. The school's mission is not only to organize and protect recorded knowledge, but to grow it and sustain that knowledge with information scientists that act as guardians, guides, and stewards.
Our field of library information science is all about putting people in touch with recorded knowledge.
Everyone says, you're going into library science, so are you learning the Dewey Decimal System?
The library is not the only place where putting people in touch with recorded knowledge occurs. It occurs everywhere. It occurs in your own office.
It's all about getting that information out there, and that information doesn't just sit in the library.
Our job is to help people understand what we can do and how we can help the community, and that we're not isolated within the confines of academia.
It is a very exciting time. So much is changing in the environment within which we all have to operate. And people are really becoming aware of the importance of the role and value of information and knowledge.
I think it's really exciting to be a SILS student right now because of the Knowledge Trust.
The Knowledge Trust, the totality of man's recorded knowledge. The world's knowledge professionals. A program founded by the School of Information and Library Science of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill to redefine the role and preparation of 21st century knowledge professionals.
The broad challenges that we face as librarians, as archivists, as technologists, are how to make space available for non-market cooperation, as well as a transition between market cooperation, that with a profit motive and that from which you can build a business, and non-market.
A lot of the people who create information, a lot of the people who organize information think about it in terms of profitability, or they think about it in terms of what they need to do their work now.
Many of the changes and many of the directions in which we want to go are heavily influenced by policy, by law.
We have to make both the legislators and just the general community understand why it's important that everyone have access to information.
It's very international. People could use knowledge to do anything that they want to. This kind of knowledge could be transferred to Thailand or anywhere else in the world.
We need to go out and be advocates for ourselves and say, this is what an information professional does and this is how you need us.
The librarian and information professional in this future is not a passive person. We need somebody who goes almost beyond proactive. We need the equivalent of the Nathaniel Hawthorne's Pathfinder, some combination of Natty Bumppo and the Jedi Knight.
It's really the field to be studying right now, and this is the place to be doing it.
Today, the technology has changed. The card catalog has been superseded by the internet, bits have replaced books, and libraries are connected not just to the state, but the world. However, the principles and concepts that Louis Round Wilson originally established continue to prepare the next generation of information and library scientists who must face new challenges in this ever-evolving digital age.
Even though the technology's changed a lot, the basic courses, the most important courses I think that we always taught are just as important now.
What's happening in information technology and what's happened before is not a revolution so much in the technologies, which at this point are almost incremental, but changes in the way people can access that information. They can collaborate, they can exchange.
Instead of keeping library science and information science in two separate areas, they really combine them in a way that makes both better fields.
UNC has very strong about selecting people to be a teacher, to be a faculty, because not just because they are a good researcher, but they're a great teacher as well.
You know, you've heard probably that in major research universities, faculty are more interested in their research. Well, here at Carolina, faculty are equally interested in the teaching mission and take it very, very seriously indeed.
And they're very active in the field. You'll see their name. They're at all the reading courses. In fact, I took this past semester. A good number of the articles I read were from these professors.
I think it's a really dynamic place because you have both the research and the practice.
Where do you go from being number one? You can't sit back because other schools are looking to compete and trying to achieve what you've achieved. So how do you take a school that's achieved number one status and move it forward?
The Louis Round Wilson Academy, global thought leaders and information revolutionaries who comprise the Leadership Council of the Knowledge Trust.
These sessions of the Louis Round Wilson Academy are part of a worldwide program established in 2005 to seek out, honor, and preserve the history of the 21st century revolution in library and information science.
We face some new issues about how to be good trustees in perpetuity of new knowledge that's being created in new forms.
Now, in the era of genomics, proteomics, whatever omics, the cutting edge of scholarship is moving directly into forms which will never see the light of day as text.
When the digital transformation is going on, it allows all sorts of power structures to be rearranged. What keeps me up at night is we could lose the library system in our generation, on our watch.
You go to the internet. You don't look for a complete book, you just look for the piece of information that is relevant for you. So my question is not where is this profession going? My question is it going anywhere?
We asked about trust. Do you trust stuff you get in libraries? You betcha. That's good. Do you trust stuff you get in Google? You betcha. They've got the same trust level in brand that the libraries had, and it's across all ages, it's across all countries that we surveyed.
The framing of our institutions have become obsolete, and we need to reframe. By convening a group of people who've been successful at making the impossible happen, we can construct a picture, a vision of the future, so that the school, the faculty can react and say, this is the role we should be playing. And so it's an opportunity, I think, to define the future, an opportunity to develop role models so that we can find exemplars of those future librarians and information professionals that we hope to graduate. I think that's really a responsibility that comes with leadership, and so it's not just a question of coming once to the number one program because it's done so well in the past. The idea is how do we leverage what's been done in the past into a future that's equally as successful.